Hi everybody, Steve Griffiths here, developer of the MTPredictor software program. Before I start and have a look at today's MTPredictor video, as normal I'd like to have a quick look at our risk disclaimer and remind you that all examples in these videos should be considered as hypothetical. No trades were taken, these are only just shown for illustration and training purposes only. Also remind you there's a risk of loss in trading and investing. All professional traders know that losses can and will and do happen. I'll repeat that. Losses can and will and do happen. The trick is keeping those losses small. Right, let's have a look at what unfolded yesterday. Surprisingly enough, day after the Christmas holiday, and I hope you all had a good time off with your friends and family over Christmas, we had actually a surprisingly good day yesterday. There were some very good setups with MTPredictor, and particularly on the YM that I'd like to look at in a minute as well. These are our new NinjaTrader 8 add-ons in which I'll do the video with today. So let's start with the ES. The ES was pretty good as well. We had some historical trades here. Can you see these small triangles? These small triangles show you trades that would have been highlighted at the time, filled on the next bar, and then stopped out. They're not always losing trades, but you can place the analysis on to see where they would have been. And as you can see here, there was a couple of trades on the way down here, but these were against our new MTP trend indicator, which you can see at the bottom, which was red. So basically this defined after about this point here, defined the large trend as down, therefore you should only be taking sell setups. So you'd be avoiding these buy setups. A bit later in the day there was actually a lovely sell setup here. This is a good example of when a history triangle can be a good trade and not necessarily a failed trade, because we had a double top. So you can place the analysis on this red bar here. Can you see that? And there you would have been taken in there, but you wouldn't have been stopped out. In fact, you'd probably gone up to a double top and then come down and been taken in. So the point being is that even though there's the history triangle there, there would only been one trade setup. This is one of our new trade setups, what we call our Holy Grail trade setup, where we're looking to trade off a wave 2 to then trade to the wave 3 WPT or wave price target. Here you can see the profit was approximately 3.8 times greater than the initial risk. That's why I like these Holy Grail trade setups, because they get you in the end of a wave 2 to then trade a wave 3, which is usually the strongest and longest wave in a completed 5-wave sequence. So the highest potential profit for the smallest initial risk. So a very good day on the ES. But before we go on to the YM, just like to have a look at the higher time frame chart for you guys who like to look at the large trend, not just with our MTP trend color coded indicator here, but looking on the higher time frame chart. Let's go out to the 15-minute chart, and here we place our DPs on our chart. Remember, these are leading indicators. They're on the chart for support and resistance before the market even gets there. So before the market even opened yesterday, so when we were back here somewhere, can you see how this was the last swing into the low? I was discussing this in our MTPredictor customers training room before Christmas, where we look at our DPs from the last swing into the higher low. So here's a major low. This one here is the last swing into the low. You should have gone back to this pivot, right mouse click, done decision point, and that would have been a resistance area. Can you see it's up on the chart in advance, even when the market was right the way down here. So let's see what happened after this. The market opened, rallied up, that nailed the high of the day. The large view trend was therefore defined as down for the rest of the day. If I now come back down to the 3-minute chart, you can see how that fits in beautifully with our MTP trend. In other words, the market went up into this area. Our trend was then defined as neutral. As it backed off from that area, our trend was then defined as red, in other words down. So whether you're just using our MTP trend or using the higher time frame chart, both ways the large view trend would have been down and you'd only been taking sell setups. In other words, this TS3 Holy Grail sell, which we've already highlighted. But the YM was actually an even clearer picture, and I'll just show you why. Let's go over to the YM. Here you can see I've already placed the 15-minute DP on. I'll just go to the 15-minute chart. There it is, exactly the same. I'll do that again for you. I'll just clear that off. There's the last swing into that low. Do you see that? There's the low. There's the last swing into the low. So you place the DP off this pivot. Exactly the same as the ES. The market rallied up, just clipped that. Large view trend is defined as down. If we go to the 3-minute chart, exactly the same picture. Our MTP trend had turned red, therefore the large view trend is down, and so you should be looking for sell setups. There was a nice buy setup here. If I right mouse click, place the analysis on, that did actually have a nice 2.2 hour profit, but that was against the large view trend, so you would have been ignoring that one if I take that off. So the trade setup here would have been this Holy Grail trade setup, just like the ES. Let's place the analysis on the red cell bar, which is here. Right mouse click, analysis. There would have been our target. We didn't quite reach it. It would have been a potential 7.3 hour profit if it had got all the way down there, but it didn't. Let's drag the risk reward line up and see where the profit would have been at the close. Remember, we wouldn't be looking for buy setups because large view trend is down. We're looking at a potential profit of approximately 4.7 R, or 4.7 times greater than the initial risk. That's what's so good about these potential trade setups. But why did I say I like the YM better than the ES? Well, I particularly liked it because of the pattern that was unfolding here. Just want to show you this. From our high here, the market came down. It came down into, if I right mouse click on this pivot, do Elliott wave intermediate, it came down in a perfect 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, with the low right at the typical wave 5 WBT. Can you see that? So the low there came in right at our typical area of where wave 5s would end. Then the best thing that unfolded next was, for you guys who've been using MTPredictor for a while, will know after a completed 5-wave sequence, the market then tends to go to the DP from the previous wave 4. In other words, again, it's the last swing into the high or low. So you've gone back to this particular pivot high here, right mouse click, place DP on. And as you can see, that's exactly where our TS4 sell setup unfolded. Now remember, that would have been on the chart in advance. So right the way back here, can you see that? When the market had just unfolded at that wave 5 low and starting to rally up, you could have had this resistance level on your chart ready, knowing that that's an area of where the market was likely to make a high. So when the high came up and then unfolded as an ABC into our TS4 sell setup, that was even a clearer picture than our pattern on the ES, particularly when you were coming off 15-minute resistance, large view trend was down, our MTP trend was also red, large view trend was down. A Holy Grail trade setup is a great trade setup because it's the one where we're looking to go for the bigger move. In other words, we're looking to come off the end of a wave 2 into a strong wave 3, and as we've already seen, market didn't quite get there, but on the close was a plus 4.7 hour profit. But that was a great example of what we should look for in our MTPredictor trade setups. Is we're not looking to just purely and simply trade our setups mechanically and just trade them without any idea of what the market is doing. We teach in our training webinars that the markets are only clear about half the time. So half the time the pattern's unclear and you shouldn't be trading. Half the time the pattern's clear and therefore you can do some analysis. That's why we don't believe in black box system trading where you just trade blindly 100% of the time. We like it when the pattern comes together and everything looks clear and is a good clear clean pattern. And that's why on the YM, can you see how it looked absolutely perfect, because not only, as I've said, the large trend was down, therefore you should just be taking sell setups, but we also had this 5-wave sequence down here into the low. The market then retraced back up to the logical resistance area, which is the wave 4 from the or the previous wave 4 after the completed wave 5 low, that DP there. So when the market went up into that level and made your TS4 Holy Grail sell setup at that level as well, lots of things were all coming together to tell you that that was a good place for the market to reverse and then move lower. So that was a good example of how to use multiple analysis techniques in MTPredictor all together to come together to give you a nice, clear, clean picture. And when that happens, you usually get a good trade setup. And that's exactly what unfolded with the result of approximately 4.7 times greater than initial risk. Remember, we use correct position sizing. In this case, I'm using a default account here of a sample $20,000 account, risking no more than 2%. So less than 2% is less than $400. That would mean shorting 13 contracts, coming down here for a profit of approximately $1,800 for your $390 risk, ignoring slippage and commission. So a great example of a good trade yesterday unfolded using MTPredictor, and also a good example of some of the other tools in MTPredictor that you can use to help confirm your trades as well.